Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Zlatan's Fight Picks. Today we will do the predictions for this UFC card on March 23rd, 2004. UFC Vegas 89, Namajunas versus Ribas. Yeah. Sorry for the late video. It's Friday, late Friday afternoon. But we will get this done right now. So let's start. We will do it as usual. We will go from the early prelims to the main event. So let's start. I think the first fight is Muhammad Usman versus Mick Parkin. Muhammad Usman, 6'2", 79-inch reach, 11 wins, 2 losses, 0 draws, 34 years old. Mick Parkin, 6'4", 79-inch reach, 8 wins, 0 losses, 0 draws, 28 years old. I went back and forth on this one. To tell you the truth, I picked Mick Parkin first. Really impressed with his first fight when he first came to the UFC, beating Pogues, and really disappointed in the second win of the fight. It was a close fight against Machado from Canada. Muhammad Usman, you know what? I've never been high on this guy, never really liked this guy, but for some reason he keeps winning. And maybe he's better than I thought. So looking at his last performance against a low level to low mid-level guy, which is where I think Mick Parkin was, he did pretty good. He did good against the striking, he stayed safe, he did good in the clinch, he did good up against the fence, he took the guy down in the third round. Seems like he's got a little bit of power. He's absorbed quite a few punches as well. And I just didn't think he was as good. I didn't think he was that good. And even during that fight, I had picked, I can't remember what the fighter's name is, but I had picked the other guy. And watching the fight, he really surprised me. And on the flip side, Mick Parkin, when he fought Machado, really disappointed me. And he almost lost that fight. So I flipped the pick and I went with Muhammad Usman. He's 34 years old. He's not too old. He's at his peak. He started in this game late. Mick Parkin's only got 8 fights, 28 years old. Same amount of experience. He is going to be a little larger, but so far that hasn't really affected Usman because he's, built like a brick something house. So I'm not too concerned about that. He seems like he has okay striking. I think Parkin's going to be the cleaner striker, but I think the more power is going to come from Usman. And I don't know what Parkin's going to do. If he doesn't stay on the outside running around, I don't think he's going to take Usman down, which was his answer for Machado. So it's hard to tell because Mick Parkin looked very different from Pogues to Machado. I don't really like that. Usman has consistently done better and better and looked better and better every time I've seen him. So I'm going to go with Usman on this one, this low confidence pick. Moving on to the next one. Igor Severino versus Andre Lima. Igor Severino, 5'7", 69.5-inch reach, 8 wins, 0 losses, 20 years old. Andre Lima, 5'7", 67.5-inch reach, 7 wins, 25 years old. 0 losses, by the way. You know what? Andre Lima, I don't think he's 5'7". I think he's a little shorter than that. He's going to be at least an inch shorter. I think he might be up to 2 inches shorter because Severino might be a little over 5'7". Lima, I think, yeah, he's stocky, but he's a little on the shorter side. The metrics are a little off, I think. But he's got a 2-inch disadvantage in reach. I'd imagine he's about 2 inches shorter. So here's the thing. They both look really good. They both have fought on lower level scenes. We don't know how they're really going to act or how they're going to do in this level of competition. Severino, I would say, has a lot less good competition. I think he's very young. I don't think he's been really pushed. I think he's got a decent ground game. He's got, decent striking. But I just don't see him taking Lima down or controlling Lima. I see Lima with the more power. I see him with less volume, but Lima, when he lands and when he throws, he's very well grounded and he lands hard strikes. This is going to be a close fight. We still don't know very much about these fighters, but I like Lima. I like the competition he's fought. I like his experience, and I think he's going to be more powerful and I think he's going to be able to take advantage of the youth of Severino. Even though he's got about the same fights, there's something about it that just, especially in the Contender Series, I just didn't like. Well, I like what I saw in both of them. I just liked Lima a little better. And I think he's going to have the more power. He's going to have the more cage push. He's just going to be more powerful in there, and he's going to have a presence. And I think he's going to win this over Severino. I think they both have a pretty good future in the UFC. Lima's going to be the pick on this one. Moving on, Montserrat Rendon versus Daria Zeleznikova. Montserrat Rendon, 5'8", 68 inch reach, 6 wins, 0 losses, 35 years old. Daria Zeleznikova, 5'9", 8 wins, 1 loss, 20 years old. Okay, I don't like the way Rendon fights. I think she sucks. She's old, and every time she does win, it's the most boring fight possible. She's like, get on top of you and just lie on top of you. That's going to be your game plan. So right off the bat, it didn't start off well for me when I was analyzing this. Daria Zeleznikova, she's much more exciting. She's a striker, and here's the thing: Rendon's going to try to take her down because this girl is going to be. Rendon's always relied on her size, and in this case, she's not going to be the bigger girl. She's going to be the same size, if not, Zeleznikova might be a little bigger. Zeleznikova is going to be the way better striker, so Rendon has to take her down. Zeleznikova had a problem with Dixon where she was taken down, but if you ever look at her fights, she actually has not a bad takedown defense and a get-up game. It's not too bad, but with Dixon obviously I think is going to be doing this to a lot of people. She managed to take her down, and if you look at that fight, her takedown defense was holding up, and Dixon got kind of an off-balance reverse trip on Zeleznikova, and Zeleznikova got pounded into the ground. And a couple more seconds, would have gone to the second round. You don't know what would have happened, but I don't think that's how this is going to play out. I think Rendon doesn't have as good a takedowns as Dixon. I think Dixon was having a very hard time taking Zeleznikova down. It was just a clinch kind of reverse trip that actually got her on the ground. And Dixon is a savage on the ground, as we saw even in her Contender, in her first UFC fight. I think that Zeleznikova has enough of a defense to keep it on the feet, and she's going to beat Rendon on the feet. High degree of confidence on this one. Hopefully it happens. But it is her debut. That's the only thing that I'm hesitating on. But, I got to go with what I see, right? So, Zeleznikova, high degree of confidence to beat Rendon. I don't really like the way Rendon fights. Moving on. Jerno Aarons versus Steve Nguyen, or Nguyen. Jaron Aarons, 5'11", 73 inch reach, 13 wins, 5 losses, 29 years old. Steven Nguyen, 5'11", 73 inch reach, 9 wins, 1 draw, 30 years old. These guys are built the same. I think that Jaron, I've never had a lot of confidence in Jarno Aarons because he just got put in the UFC in a way where they just needed a fighter who's from Europe, from the area, on the Paris card, and he didn't do too bad. And watching him fight, actually, I kind of like the way he fights. He's got a lot of power. He's got knockout capability. He's a gamer. He goes forward. He tries his best, and he's always live. So when I first saw this, I immediately picked Steve Nguyen because I saw how, he was very durable. The only time he got KO'd was a flying knee, and it was a clean knee to the chin. Who wouldn't get KO'd by that? Otherwise, he's very durable. He's got great boxing. I'm not super impressed with a few things about him, but I think he's going to be the more consistent fighter. He's going to have great boxing. Jerno Aarons is going to be dangerous. I had thought at one time to maybe take Aarons because of that power where he could knock somebody out, but I have a feeling Nguyen is the kind of guy that might be able to absorb that power and not get KO'd. So I'm going to go with Nguyen. I hope he doesn't disappoint me. He's been waiting a while to come to the UFC. It seems like it was all or nothing for him. If you will look at his record, he was only fighting in the Contender Series. It was like either he was going to get in the UFC or he wasn't going to fight, which I don't necessarily like to see. But I'm going to have to go with him. I think he's going to be the better, more well-rounded fighter. He's got a decent ground game. He could win this any which way. He's got good leg kicks. Aaron's been stopped with leg kicks. I mean, I don't mind Aaron's as a fighter. He's a live dog for the KO, but I think Nguyen will be able to absorb that shot. He's got a good chin. Moving on. Miles Johns versus Cody Gibson. Miles Johns, 5'7", 66-inch reach, 14 wins, 2 losses, 29 years old. Cody Gibson, 5'10", 71-inch reach, 20 wins, 9 losses, 36 years old. Cody Gibson, it's a second stint in the UFC. He's 36 years old. I don't think he's slowed down, but I think he's definitely at the peak. He's not getting better. Miles Johns, I mean, I just don't like his metrics. No matter who he's fought, I don't like his metrics. And the last time I bet against him, and I just wanted to fade Miles Johns basically, because I don't think he's that good. He's short, he's stumpy, he's stout. He's got these overhand looping shots that you could see coming from a mile away. I don't think he's got great shots. I mean, it's a lot of things. I don't think he's that good. And he beat Argueta last time, and I didn't realize how bad Argueta was at striking. I thought he was a little better than that. Miles Johns took full advantage of it, and he ended up beating Argueta. Argueta was a one-dimensional fighter, just wrestling. Cody Gibson is a good striker. He's going to have the reach. He's going to have the height. He's going to be able to go on the outside, and he's got wrestling. So, I mean, he can get hit, but honestly, if you can't see Miles Johns' little stumpy arms overhanding, these looping shots and get out of the way, man, there's a problem. And I don't know if Gibson necessarily has the style to get out of the way, because I don't think he's scared if he gets hit, but I'd imagine he's going to be at a decent distance where he might be able to avoid some of those shots. As anybody with good defense can avoid Miles Johns' hooks. Anyways, not a big fan of him. Gibson is the underdog. I mean, I'm going to go with him. I think it's going to be an exciting fight. Yeah, give me Gibson. Ricardo Ramos versus Julian Erosa. Ricardo Ramos, 5'9", 72-inch reach, 16 wins, 5 losses, 28 years old. Julian Erosa, 6'1", 74.5-inch reach, 28 wins, 12 wins, 34 years old. I mean, it's questionable how much Julian Erosa has got left in his chin. He has been knocked out, but he's the kind of guy that seems to get knocked out, comes right back, has a great performance, knocks somebody else out, or submits them. He's super game. He's just a go for broke type of fighter. I had a bet on him last time, and he got KO'd by Padilla. I was really disappointed. Padilla showed excellent accuracy, and Erosa jumped up, might have been stopped a little early. I don't think Erosa was expecting the reach from Padilla. It just looked like it took him off guard, because he's normally got so much better reach than everyone else. In this fight, he'll have a lot more height, somewhat more reach. Ricardo Ramos, I bet on him last time, and he got submitted by Jordan. And he got submitted, and I thought he was the guy that's going to do the submitting. And if you saw him on the feet, he took Jordan to the ground because Jordan was, taking it to him on the feet. Ramos wasn't as effective as Jordan was on the feet, and Ramos went for the takedown, and he got the takedown. He was trying to control him, and Jordan was very active, and eventually caught Ramos in a choke, and he tapped out. I could see Julian Erosa getting that choke all day with his long arms and his metrics. On top of that, I can see Julian Erosa piecing him up all day. If Jordan can do this with the metrics Jordan had, I think Erosa can do this as well. The only shot that Ramos has, it seems like, is some kind of looping, spinning back fist that might land on Erosa and KO him, and he has been KO'd, obviously. And I kind of went back and forth on this one. I originally picked Ramos, but the more I thought about it, the more these guys, I made a mistake on both of them, so I'm going to be right one way or the other, right? But it's 50-50, because Ramos lost last time I bet on him. Erosa lost last time I bet on him. I still kind of like Erosa on this. I think the metrics are on his side. I've really been disappointed in how Ramos has looked ever since he's gone up to 145. I mean, he looked much better at 135, but he was having a hard time cutting the weight. But not having the metrics on his side, I think that it's been hindering him from winning. So Erosa is going to be the pick. not a high degree of confidence. But yeah, that's going to be the pick. Moving on, Kurt Hulabaugh versus Trey Ogden. Kurt Hulabaugh, 5'11", 70-inch reach, 21 wins, 7 losses, 37 years old. Trey Ogden, 5'11", 72-inch reach, 16 wins, 6 losses, 34 years old. I bet on Kurt Hulabaugh last time, and he came out with a victory. He's 37 years old. He doesn't look like he's really slowed down. He might be starting to slow down soon. But the guy's fully on. When he's striking like hard. And he's going forward hard. When he's grappling hard. And he's going for submissions. And he's going to finish the fight. Trey Ogden, I've been betting against him for a while. And I've been losing money on him for a while. So that's not saying very much. But I just don't think he's that good. Although he looked really good last time against Mota. But Mota is such a smaller guy. But he was smart with his striking and his circling and his circling out and everything else. And I think it really worked for him with his leg kicks. But with the metrics the way they are, this is not going to work as well on Hulabaugh, and Hulabaugh is going to take it to him. And at first I picked Trey Ogden, and I kind of went back and forth on this one, and I wanted to pick Trey Ogden. I think he's the younger guy. He seems like he's always been surprising me. But you know what? I'm just have this feeling that Hulabaugh is going to take it to him and win this fight. I don't know why. So I could be wrong, but I'm going to pick Hulabaugh. I think he's going to have a good fight. He's always going for it. He's always going for a finish. Ogden's just trying to survive, and that's going to be the difference. Is Hulabaugh's going to go for the finish, and Ogden's going to try to survive, and I think Hulabaugh's going to win this. Hulabaugh's going to be the pick. Moving on. Fernando Padilla versus Luis Payuelo. Fernando Padilla, 6'1", 76-inch reach, 15 wins, 5 losses, 0 draws. 27 years old. Luis Payuelo, 5'10", 69.5-inch reach, 8 wins, 1 loss, 29 years old. Padilla's got this huge, massive reach advantage. He definitely took advantage of it against Arosa. I saw him against, what's his name? Kyle Nelson from Canada. Totally got disappointed. I mean, Kyle Nelson fought a really good fight. Went in, high guard, leg kicks, made sure he was up on the striking, in and out, not getting hit. Padilla couldn't get started, just kept walking after him, and just got outpointed straight up. And really good master class for Kyle Nelson, who I never thought is that good, but regardless of what you think about him, he's been winning fights. And he figured out a way how to beat Padilla. He's obviously a very smart fighter. Padilla was very one-dimensional in that. I don't think he's going to have the same problem with Puello. Puello is going to come forward, swinging bombs. He's got a great chin. He's got a lot of power, and that's what it's going to come down to. Padilla, I've seen him. He's got a great chin too. But he's also got a 7-inch reach advantage. So I'm going to go with the metrics on this one. I think on the ground, Padilla's got him covered. I think on the feet, Padilla does not have to chase this guy. He's going to come straight at him. As long as he doesn't get KO'd, he's going to be landing first. Padilla's going to have to go through him, his long jab and his long strikes to get to him. Although I got to say that Padilla does not necessarily fight long. And he proved that in the Kyle Nelson fight. He doesn't necessarily fight long. He fights short, compact, and he's got a decent defense, but he doesn't fight long. But still, he's still got a 7-inch reach advantage. Even not fighting long, he's still going to be long. So Padilla's going to be the pick. Moving on, Billy Quarantillo versus Yusuf Zalal. Billy Quarantillo, 5'10", 70-inch reach, 18 wins, 5 losses, 35 years old. Yusuf Zalal, 5'10", 72-inch reach, 13 wins, 5 losses, 1 draw, 27 years old. I went back and forth on this one. Billy Q, originally I picked him. I thought this guy is still in the UFC. Zalal wasn't in the UFC. They cut him for a reason. But looking back at the fights, I think Zalal actually might have fought the better competition. Even though he lost against that competition, he was very competitive. And Billy Q didn't fight as good a competition, but he would always seems like he'd be coming on, got this endurance, and he was still in the UFC. I think they really liked the guy. And Zalal is taking on short notice. But Zalal's also not the kind of guy to get tired. So I went from Quarantula. I picked Zalal for this fight, and Zalal was still a underdog. And looking at Zalal's fights, the more I thought about it, and I'm going, you know what? I flipped it again. And this is a fight you'll see on the board. I got both of them up there. I flipped it for the third time. I went back to Quarantilo. I don't know why. I just have this feeling Quarantilo is going to pull this off. It's going to be a super close fight. If you look at the odds now, they're pick 'em, which is where they should be, because I had the hardest time with this fight. I sort of changed my mind twice. I went Quarantilo to Zalal, back to Quarantilo. Honestly, pick either one, and you've got about the same chance. But yeah, you'll see on the board. It's the only one I've got both of them listed. I'm going to go with Quarantilo as my final pick. But honestly, if you went with Zalal, I would blame you. I would blame you maybe more now, because Zalal was a plus 140 underdog at one point. That's when you should have played him, or plus 120. Anyways, final pick, Quarantilo. Peyton Talbot versus Cameron Simon. Peyton Talbot, 5'10", 70.5-inch reach, 7 wins, 0 losses, 25 years old. Cameron Simon, 5'8", 67-inch reach, 9 wins, 1 loss, 23 years old. Again, back and forth on this one. You know what? I mean, I want to buy into this Peyton Talbot hype. You know, the guy's big, he's really strong, he's really durable, but he always loses the first round. And he just basically breaks people, goes after him, breaks him, and that's how he fights, right? He's decent on the ground. He's good. He's okay on the feet. He's not that fast, but he's durable. So he takes his shot and gives you a shot. Takes a shot and gives you a shot. And last fight he was such a big favorite. I actually bet on the underdog, and the underdog won the first round, and then he lost the second round, and of course he completely lost. But I'd rather be on that side than the Talbot side, watching him, survive on the ground. Granted, he was very strong, survived on the ground, wasn't getting choked. But he fought against a guy who was absolutely a terrible striker, didn't want to be on the feet with him. Now you got Cameron Simon, who was coming on really strong, and he fought Chris Rodriguez, who is a fantastic fighter, as we're seeing. And they fought to it was a close fight. Close decision. It was unanimous, but it was a close decision. Cameron Simon was, getting a little outmaneuvered on the ground, but you saw how good C-Rod is on the ground. Cameron's pretty good striker. He doesn't just seem as thick as Talbot, and I think Talbot's going to be more durable. But you know what? Cameron's the underdog. This is the toughest competition Talbot's fought, is Simon. I want to pick Talbot, but I'm going to go with the underdog on this one. I think he's got more experience. I'm going to pick Simon. I hope it's not a mistake. He's going to be a little smaller, but I think he's going to be a little quicker. And if he can survive the 3 rounds, if he wins the first round, he's only got to win 1 more round. And if Talbot can't break him, which eventually he will not be able to break these guys, I'm going to go with Simon on this one, underdog. Edmund Shabazian versus AJ Dobson. Edmund Shabazian, 6'2", 74-inch reach, 12 wins, 4 losses, 26 years old. AJ Dobson, 6'1", 76-inch reach, 7 wins, 2 losses, 32 years old. Again, back and forth on this one. Right off the bat, picked AJ Dobson. Why? Well, Shabazian seems to lose all the time. After the first round, he just gasses and he just drops off the cliff. AJ Dobson has never been impressive. The last fight against Tifon, he looked somewhat decent. He looks like he's very durable. He can wrestle somewhat. He's a wrestler, but he can wrestle. I don't think he's a great wrestler, but people saying he's a great wrestler. I haven't really seen it, but he can wrestle. He's got good defense, and he seems fairly durable. He's an okay striker, but he's consistent and he can last the 3 rounds. He seems like a really tough journeyman. Edmund Shabazian, all the fighters he has been losing to are been the top-notch guys. The guys who, and he's beaten all of them in the first round. So he beats them in the first round, then they come back and they beat him in the second round. So is he going all out too fast? He's only 26 years old. Is he just the kind of guy that'll never be able to have a good gas tank? He's actually not too bad on the ground. I saw him on the ground against Fluffy Hernandez. He looked pretty good, pretty solid on the ground. He even got back up, and he was grappling pretty good until he got tired, and then Fluffy finished him, right? Shabazian's just he's so much better than Dobson. Like he's so much better. But we just don't. We're just gonna have a situation where Dobson is gonna win the third round. Shabazian's gonna kick his ass in the first round, and it's gonna be the second round. If Shabazian does not blow his wad and can last long enough in the second round, he's gonna be such a better striker. He's gonna win that round. That's what I'm gonna go with. I flipped my pick to Shabazian. He's just such a better fighter, even though his gas tank sucks. If he could just last that second round and then hold on in the third round, he's going to win this. So Shabazian's going to be the pick. Co-main event, Carl Williams versus Justin Tafa. Carl Williams, 6'3", 79-inch reach, 9 wins, 1 loss, 34 years old. Justin Tafa, 60-inch reach, 6 feet tall, 74-inch reach, 7 wins, 3 losses, 30 years old. You know, Carl Williams is this wrestler. But when I saw him fight Sherman, I saw him take Sherman down one time, then he couldn't take him down the rest of the time. And he basically out-jabbed him because he has a better jab than Sherman. I don't think Carl Williams is going to out-jab Tafa because once he gets that close, Tafa's going to come in swinging. And I think he's going to be too scared. And after he gets hit once, he is going to be too scared. Carl Williams has to wrestle Justin Tafa. Now, is Carl Williams a good enough wrestler to wrestle Justin Tafa? It depends how much Justin Tafa has been working on his takedown defense. Because Carl Williams, for how much hype he's got as a wrestler, I don't think he's he's a good wrestler for the lower level guys, but when he gets to guys even like Sherman, they were able to stuff his takedowns. So if Sherman can stuff his takedowns, do you think a 265-pound Tafa can stuff his takedowns? That's where going back and forth. It was like plus 210. I had taken Justin Tafa on a bet at that point, and now it's at plus 160, plus 170. You know, I don't like, last time I had the same thing with Tuivasa and Taibura, and I went with Taibura because I couldn't see Tuivasa landing on Taibura, and Taibura being tough. I don't see Williams at that level. He's 34 years old. He shows up to the UFC. He's not some juggernaut, mowing through everybody. He's just barely winning. He could easily get knocked out in this one. I gotta go. It's a low confidence pick. I'm gonna go with Tafa. I think he's gonna KO this guy. So I'm just going with a gut feeling on that. Everyone's picking Williams. I'm going with Tafa. I'm going for the KO. Tafa's the pick. Main event, Ramanda Ribas versus Rose Namajunas. Amanda Ribas, 5'3", 66-inch reach, 12 wins, 4 losses, 30 years old. Rose Namajunas, 5'5", 65-inch reach, 12 wins, 6 losses, 31 years old. Same age. The metrics are on the Namajunas side. This is a fairly easy pick for me. Namajunas is going to be bigger, longer, going to be able to strike her. She's a really good striker from the outside. Ribas is going to come in with a herky-jerky style throwing. She's not going to quit. She's not going to quit on herself, but she's going to be banged up and pieced up, and it's not going to look good. She's going to lose rounds. She's going to try to take Namajunas down. I don't think she's going to be able to. I think Namajunas is got great takedown defense. She's topped the top level of girls. So is Amanda Ribas. They're fighting at 125. They both should be at 115. But realistically, Rose Namajunas is going to be the way bigger 125er than Amanda Ribas. So, not to go too much into it, but I think Namajunas is going to be the pick on this one. Apart from her mental game, which she definitely has to work on because there's something wrong with her. Well, I don't mean that in a bad way. She needs motivation, right? So if that's part of it's fixed, I'm not too worried about the physical part of it. She seems fairly talented, and Amanda Ribas is the kind of girl that she can beat. All right, let's go over the board real quick. All right, real quick, not financial advice. Bet only what you can afford to lose. These are my picks from most confident to least confident, and some people complained about, one person complained actually about my most confident. But just remember, just because it's most confident, it doesn't mean that all three of them couldn't be in that spot. For lack of a better particular order, it's roughly about this. So it's not this, just because she's my most confident, she could easily have been here. He could have been up there, kind of thing. You know, like it's not written in stone. Do your own research and see how it compares to what you're thinking. So most confident, Namajunas, I think the metrics are on her side. I think she's going to win this, apart from some kind of mental game that she's not able to figure out. She's going to win this. Zvezda, I don't usually like to put women in the top, first of all, especially a new up-and-comer. But honestly, there are so many fights here that are so up in the air. Like, that's how desperate I am for confidence is Liznakova, because honestly, these fights can go any which way. There are some close, unpredictable fights. So Lesnikov is going to be the second pick. Nguyen, I think you should win this. Just judging from the competition and how durable he is. Halabau, he's the first underdog play. I got him in high confidence pick. I just don't have a lot of confidence in Ogden. Lima, again, an up-and-comer. Don't usually want to do this up here, but you'll see what I'm saying as we go down. I mean, it just gets more risky. Padilla, I think he's going to win this. He's got UFC experience, got the metrics. I don't think this other guy has fought at this level. Shabazian, he's a way better fighter. He just has to last 2 rounds. That's what I'm counting on. Being smart enough to last 2 rounds against AJ. And AJ's not the kind of guy who pushes the pressure and puts a lot of pressure on people. So that's why I'm counting on him being able to survive long enough. Well, not survive, but do well enough for 2 rounds without being put so much pressure on where he gasses. And I don't think AJ Dobson's that type of fighter. Usman has continued to surprise me. You know, I'm going to go with him. He's looked good, and I don't like the way Parkin looked in the last fight. Zalal Carantillo, this is the one I said, okay, I ended up picking Carantillo. I said, you know, you can pick either one. It's going to be a super close fight. Zalal could win this too. You know, the more I think about it, the more I want to switch my pick. But I'm not going to switch it. I'll keep Carantillo. But there you go. That's how close it is. This could go either way. Gibson, you know, he is the underdog. I like him. He's aggressive. He's going to go for it. I don't like Johns. I don't know why everyone's so high on this guy. Hopefully I'm right. I'm going to go with him. He's the underdog. Arosa, you know, he got knocked out. He's got the metrics on his side. I got to go with him. Ramos has not been consistent. He's not been consistent. I'm going to go with the metrics and the underdog, Arosa. Simon, again, Simon took his first loss against a really good fighter. This is Simon's the best fighter that Talbot's fought. Yeah, we're going to see what happens. You know, I'm going to go with the underdog. Again, Tafa, I have a feeling he's going to get the KO in this one. I don't know about a lot of the other ones, but this one I really have a feeling he's going to get the KO. I had to go with him. Plus 160 underdog. Go for a Tafa. Let's do this. Again, not financial advice. Take what you need from this board, add it to your own research, and see what you agree with, what you don't agree with, and see what happens. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me today. Hit the like button if you like the content. Hit subscribe if you want to be notified next time there's a video coming out. Considering I am kind of a little all over the place with when the videos can come out. Otherwise, good luck, and we'll see you at the recap next week.